Hi, my name is Sherman and today I'm just going to talk to you guys about public schools, the difference between public schools and private schools. We all know that at a certain age, around about 4 or 5 years old, in America, parents have to decide what school system they want their kids to go into, and I am strongly for public schools, but I will debate the difference between public schools and private schools just to give some parents some different options of why I think they should choose public schools and why I think their child will be better developed and molded into a better young man or woman if they go to public schools. So first we can get into just kind of the differences in public schools and private schools. Many of you guys already know this, but according to the National Center of Education Statistics, 89.3% of elementary and secondary school children are enrolled in public schools. Secondary schools being high schools, middle schools, things of that nature. On the other end, private schools, there's about 9.7 of the school children's population are enrolled in private schools. Here are a few differences that I'm really going to be harping on as to why I believe public schools are better than private schools to attend. For one, they are free to attend, where private schools have a cost of attendance. Public schools offer multiple school activities for extracurricular activities, after-school activities, whereas private schools are usually specialized for certain things, which I'll get into later. And also, I believe public schools provide exposure to all kinds of cultures, teachings, learnings, and backgrounds, where private schools tend to be very centered onto one thing, as in one race or one culture or one social class, which I'll explain later as well. So the first big point that I want to get to is the cost of attendance. The national average private school tuition is approximately $9,975 per year per child. So just taking that number as an average, most families do not have the money to send their kid to private school, which is a big problem from the beginning. Not even talking about being enrolled into the school or the curriculum or anything, just the cost of attendance is very high. And that number is per year per child. So families of 2 or 3, if they want to send all of their kids to private school, that number just doubles and triples the more kids that you have. Here I just put a little chart of some of the most populated states in America. That $9,975 per year is the average for the nation of America. But these are just averages in Texas, Florida, California, New York. As you can see, California and New York are really high, really expensive. The difference with public schools is that they are free to attend. Most of the time, all that is required to attend a public school is proof of residency, which are just water bills, electric bills, things that you get in the regular mail that you can take up to the school and show that, hey, I live in this district, I live in the area, maybe I live, a couple of minutes down the road from the school, and I'd like for my child to attend it. And so that's basically all you need. I know me growing up in public schools, the only things that I ever had to spend money on were extra expenses, like such as field trips and stuff, which are then even still optional. I mean, I had some friends that weren't able to go on field trips just because maybe their family didn't have the money at the time, but that didn't take away from their learning experiences. So that's one big thing that I think public schools really help with. Another big thing is extracurricular activities. So private schools tend to be very specialized for 1 or 2 activities. A lot of private schools are geared towards children who are above average in intelligence at their age. So a lot of gifted and talented programs. Private schools also do offer certain sports, but I know exactly, for me being a basketball player, I know that a lot of private schools are geared towards one sport and they do not offer a lot of other ones. So, for example, Oak Hill Academy is a big basketball school and they center a lot of their attention on basketball, but then they don't have other sports such as soccer and volleyball. So, if you have a child that is interested in other sports and they attend that school doesn't even offer it. Where public schools, on the other hand, have tons of extracurricular activities, after school programs that you can join, just because they have the sheer amount of students and they want to be able to provide those activities and just provide those opportunities for those people to do those things, those children that are interested in those topics. So At public schools, you have all kinds of sports that are offered, from the regular ones such as basketball and football, all the way to the minor ones such as a swimming team, a bowling team, things of that such. They also have great military programs such as ROTC, which is usually not provided in private schools. So if your child would like to join the military services, they could get an early start in high school joining an ROTC program. And one big thing that I really like about public schools is that they still teach kids with mental disabilities. So as we know, there are a lot of kids out here that have mental disabilities, and they also have, some of them also have physical disabilities where they can't walk around the school as well. And at public schools, they still offer a learning schedule and a learning curriculum for these kids, whereas private schools, they really don't. They really don't have anything set towards these kids. So I feel like that's one huge thing that public schools do that is a lot better than private schools. And finally, it's just exposure. And what I mean by that is exposure to negative things and positive things. So a couple negative things can be peer pressure. A couple negative things can be peer pressure, such as, I don't know, sometimes doing drugs or anything like that, which is a negative act. But I feel like that is one thing that a lot of kids need to go through in order to become who they want to be in the future. Also, public schools provide a lot of exposure to different cultures and different backgrounds of different students. So a lot of students get to wear whatever they want, whereas in a private school you have uniforms, so everybody looks the same. Also in public schools, kids are allowed to, like I said, wear what they want, but also bring any kind of food that they want to the school. So maybe you have a friend that is an African descent, or maybe you have a friend that is of Muslim descent, and they want to just show you kind of what their culture is. At private schools, they don't really get the chance to do that. So I feel like those experiences can help mold a child into what kind of person they want to be in the future. So basically, public schools for the win. Like I said, the main things, cost of attendance is way easier in the public school, exposure to different cultures and backgrounds, and also being able to have a broad field of things that they can choose from in their activities, after school activities, extracurricular activities. So, guys, got any questions? All right, thank you.